Hello family, enjoy this relaxing moment with Charm Stories. Remember to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comment section. Also generously hit the like button cause it means the world to us. Please sit back, relax and enjoy as we dive into the story. Linda adjusted her diamond bracelet as she stood before the tall mirror in her spacious walk-in closet. Her eyes glanced at the faint reflection of Derek in the adjoining room. He was fumbling with his phone, his brows furrowed in concentration. For a moment, Linda smiled at the sight of her husband. His charm was one of the things that had drawn her to him all those years ago. But something about his behavior over the past few days had her on edge. "Derek, are you ready?" she called out, her voice calm but laced with curiosity. Derek jumped slightly, shoving his phone into his pocket. He turned to face her, his signature grin spreading across his face. "Almost. Just replying to a few work emails," he replied. Linda nodded, her sharp eyes catching the flicker of nervousness in his movements. She walked into the room, her heels clicking softly against the polished hardwood floor. "Emails? At this hour?" she asked casually, tilting her head as she approached him. "Well, you know how demanding clients can be," Derek said with a chuckle, his tone light. But his eyes didn't quite meet hers. He adjusted his tie, clearly eager to shift the conversation. Linda stopped a few steps away from him, folding her arms. "Derek, is something wrong? You've been a bit distant lately." Derek froze for a split second, then turned to her with a reassuring smile. "Come on, Linda. Distant? You know how busy I've been with work. It's nothing personal." Linda studied him carefully, her intuition telling her there was more to the story. "Busy with work," she repeated thoughtfully. "And yet, you've been unusually quiet about what exactly you're working on." "Linda," Derek sighed, walking over to place his hands gently on her shoulders. "You don't have to worry about me. Everything is fine. I promise." She offered a small smile but didn't push further. "Not yet." Linda knew Derek well enough to recognize when he was hiding something. Instead, she decided to wait and let him reveal more on his own. Later that evening, as they sat in their lavish dining room, Derek seemed unusually preoccupied. The conversation was forced, and his responses were short. Linda decided to test the waters. "So, our anniversary is just around the corner," she said, her tone light. 15 years. Derek. Can you believe it?" Derek looked up from his plate and forced a smile. "Yeah, it's a big one. Time flies, doesn't it?" "It does," Linda agreed. "Have you thought about how we'll celebrate?" "I was thinking maybe a quiet dinner, just the two of us." "That sounds nice," Derek said quickly, almost too quickly. He took a sip of his wine, avoiding her gaze. Linda leaned back in her chair, watching him closely. "What about this work trip you mentioned the other day? Is it happening soon?" Derek's hand froze mid-air, his fork hovering over his plate. He cleared his throat before answering. Yeah. It's tomorrow, actually." "Tomorrow?" Linda raised an eyebrow. "The day before our anniversary?" "I know," Derek said hurriedly. "Bad timing. But it's unavoidable. A client requested a meeting, and I can't say no." Linda tilted her head, her smile polite but her eyes piercing. "A client? What kind of meeting is so important it can't wait until after our anniversary?" Derek shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "It's, just some final negotiations. I promise it won't take long. I'll be back in time for our dinner." Linda nodded slowly, her mind racing. "Where is this meeting?" "In Chicago," Derek said quickly. "It's a quick trip, I swear. I'll be back before you even miss me." Linda chuckled lightly, though her heart was heavy with suspicion. "You've never been good at geography, Derek. Chicago's not exactly around the corner." Derek laughed nervously, running a hand through his hair. "You're right. But don't worry. I'll make it work." Linda didn't press further. Instead, She changed the topic, allowing Derek to relax. But her mind was already forming a plan. She would find out the truth, no matter what it took. That night, as Derek slept soundly beside her, Linda quietly slipped out of bed. She walked to her home office, her silk robe trailing behind her. Sitting down at her desk, she opened her laptop and began searching for clues. She checked his email account. Nothing unusual. His calendar was empty except for their anniversary dinner. But Linda knew better than to rely on surface details. She picked up her phone and called her assistant, Clara. It was late, but Linda's tone was firm. "Clara, I need you to do something for me first thing tomorrow morning. I want a detailed itinerary for Derek's supposed work trip. And discreetly, please." "Yes, ma'am," Clara replied without hesitation. She knew better than to question Linda's intuition. Linda hung up, her heart heavy but her resolve unshaken. She looked over at Derek, who was still sleeping peacefully. "We'll see how truthful you've been, Derek," she whispered to herself. The next morning, Derek kissed her goodbye with the same charm he had always shown. "I'll be back tomorrow evening, just in time for our anniversary," he promised. Linda smiled and waved him off, but as soon as he left, her expression hardened. She picked up her phone to call Clara again. "It's time to find out the truth." Derek leaned back in his office chair, his phone resting in his palm. His thumb hovered over the screen as he glanced at the confirmation email for his booking. He'd reserved a private suite at the Magnolia Lux Hotel, a hidden gem for the wealthy elite. Everything was in place for his rendezvous with Sophia. "Tomorrow is going to be perfect," he muttered to himself with a sly grin. He picked up his phone and dialed Sophia's number. Sophia answered almost instantly, her voice warm and excited. "Derek, is everything set?" "Yes, my darling," Derek replied smoothly. "I've booked the Magnolia Lux Hotel for us. It's beautiful, private, and exclusive. You'll love it." Sophia squealed in delight. "Magnolia Lux? You spoil me. I've always wanted to go there." "Only the best for you," Derek said, his voice dripping with charm. "I'll meet you there tomorrow at 3 p.m. Everything will be perfect." As they exchanged a few more sweet nothings, Derek didn't realize the depth of the irony. Magnolia Lux was owned by none other than Linda, his wife. Meanwhile, Linda sat in her expansive home office, sipping her morning coffee. Her assistant, Clara, was on the phone, delivering an update. "Ma'am, I found something odd," Clara said cautiously. Linda straightened in her chair, her sharp instincts kicking in. "Go on." "I checked Derek's credit card transactions, like you asked. There's a recent booking at the Magnolia Lux Hotel for tomorrow." "A luxury suite," Clara said. Linda's heart sank, but her face remained calm. "Magnolia Lux," she repeated. Her mind raced. The hotel was one of her most prized investments, and its management was overseen by her longtime friend Martin. "That's strange," Linda said thoughtfully. "Derek never mentioned needing a suite. Clara, I want the full details of this booking. And connect me with Martin. Now." "Yes, ma'am." "I'll send over the transaction details immediately and get Martin on the line," Clara replied. Linda ended the call and stared at the framed photo on her desk, a picture of her and Derek on their wedding day. She reached out and traced the edge of the frame, her expression unreadable. At the Magnolia Lux Hotel, Martin, a well-dressed man in his late 50s, was reviewing the morning's bookings when his phone buzzed. Seeing Linda's name on the screen, he answered immediately. "Linda, what a surprise. How can I help you?" Martin asked cheerfully. "Martin," Linda began, her voice calm but firm. "I need some information about a booking at your hotel. A suite for tomorrow, under the name Derek Lawson." Martin's tone grew serious. "Derek Lawson? Your husband?" "That's the one," Linda replied. "I believe he's booked a suite. I need to know everything, how it was paid for, who he's bringing, and any special requests." Martin hesitated for a moment. Linda, you know I value privacy for all my guests. Martin, Linda interrupted, her tone icy. This isn't about guest privacy. This is personal. I need you to do this for me. There was a brief pause before Martin sighed. All right, Linda. Give me a few minutes to check. Sophia, completely oblivious to the unfolding drama, sat at her vanity table, admiring herself in the mirror. She had already picked out a designer dress for her rendezvous with Derek. Her phone buzzed, and she eagerly picked it up to see a text from him. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. The suite is perfect. Be ready to be spoiled. Sophia smiled, her excitement palpable. She had no idea her every move was about to be scrutinized. Back in Linda's office, her computer screen pinged with a notification. Clara had sent over Derek's transaction history. Linda opened the file and scanned through it, her eyes narrowing as she read the details of the booking. Magnolia Lux Hotel, luxury suite, she murmured to herself. Paid in full with his personal card. Moments later, Martin called her back. Linda, I have the information you wanted. And Linda prompted. Derek booked the suite for 2 guests. It's one of our most private accommodations, complete with champagne service, roses, and chocolates, all special requests added by him, Martin explained carefully. Linda's jaw tightened. Did he mention who the other guest is? No, but the booking notes say the second guest will arrive separately, Martin replied. He paused, then added, Linda, what are you going to do? Linda took a deep breath, steadying herself. Thank you, Martin. Keep this quiet for now. I'll handle it. After ending the call, Linda sat back in her chair, her mind racing. She felt a pang of hurt, but it was quickly overtaken by a wave of determination. If Derek thought he could deceive her, he was about to learn just how wrong he was. That evening, as Derek returned home, Linda greeted him with her usual grace. She didn't let on that she knew anything. Busy day, she asked casually as they sat down for dinner. Very, Derek replied, his voice light. Just tying up some loose ends before my trip tomorrow. Linda smiled faintly. Yes. The work trip. You must be exhausted. A little, but it'll all be worth it, Derek said, oblivious to the double meaning in her words. Linda sipped her wine, her expression serene. But beneath the surface, her mind was already working on her next move. She wasn't just going to confront Derek, she was going to make sure he felt the full weight of his actions. Linda sat in her home office, the dim light casting shadows on her determined face. Her fingers hovered over her phone as she dialed Martin's number. He picked up on the second ring. Linda. Martin greeted cautiously. What's the plan? Linda leaned back in her chair, her voice steady and composed. We're going to expose him, Martin. But it has to be subtle, calculated. I'm listening, Martin replied, his tone serious. First, I want you to make Sophia feel like a queen, Linda said. She needs to believe she's having the time of her life. Treat her like royalty. Champagne, flowers, whatever she wants. Understood, Martin said. And the staff. Linda's eyes narrowed slightly. Not a word about my ownership of the hotel. As far as Sophia and Derek are concerned, this is just a luxurious, anonymous getaway. Got it, Martin said. What about Derek? Linda smirked. Let him dig his own grave. I'll be tracking his every move. But I want to make sure Sophia is completely comfortable before Derek arrives. She has to be fully invested in this illusion. Consider it done, Martin said. I'll keep you updated. Thank you, Martin. And remember, discretion is key, Linda said before ending the call. The next morning, Linda walked into an upscale boutique in town. She browsed the shelves of men's watches, her face calm and composed. A young sales assistant approached her with a warm smile. Good morning, ma'am. How can I assist you? The assistant asked. I'm looking for a gift for my husband, Linda said, her voice smooth. She picked up a sleek silver watch. This one. Wrap it for me. Of course, the assistant replied, carefully packaging the item. Linda paid for the watch and left the store, her mind racing. Derek would never suspect a thing. She was playing the perfect, oblivious wife. Later that evening, as they sat down for dinner, Linda placed the wrapped gift box on the table. Derek looked at it, surprised. "What's this?" he asked, his eyebrows raised. "A little something for you," Linda said with a smile. "For our anniversary." Derek opened the box and smiled at the watch inside. "Linda, this is amazing." "Thank you." Linda leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand. "I just want you to know how much I appreciate you, Derek. 15 years is no small feat." Derek nodded, his expression unreadable. "You're too good to me." Linda simply smiled, hiding the storm brewing inside her. The next afternoon, Sophia stepped out of a sleek black car in front of the Magnolia Luxe Hotel. She wore a designer dress that hugged her figure perfectly, her heels clicking confidently against the pavement. She looked around, taking in the grandeur of the hotel's entrance. "Wow," she murmured to herself as a valet opened the car door for her. "This place is stunning." Inside the hotel, Martin was waiting near the reception desk. He approached her with a warm smile, extending his hand. "Ms. Sophia, welcome to the Magnolia Luxe Hotel." Sophia smiled, her face lighting up. "Thank you. This place is incredible." "We're honored to have you here," Martin said smoothly. "Your suite is ready, and we've prepared some complimentary champagne and flowers as a welcome gift." Sophia's eyes sparkled. "You didn't have to do that. But I'm not complaining." Martin gestured for her to follow him. "Let me personally escort you to your suite. We want to make sure your stay is perfect." Sophia walked alongside him, completely unaware that every detail of her arrival had been orchestrated by Linda. As Martin opened the door to the luxurious suite, Sophia gasped at the sight: a spacious room with a stunning view, a bottle of chilled champagne, and a bouquet of roses waiting on the coffee table. "This is amazing," Sophia said, twirling around. "Derek really knows how to treat a lady." Martin kept his smile professional. "If you need anything at all, don't hesitate to call the front desk. Enjoy your stay, Ms. Sophia." As he left the room, Martin's expression grew serious. He picked up his phone and sent Linda a quick message. She settled in. Everything is going according to plan. At home, Linda sat in her private lounge, sipping tea. Her phone buzzed with Martin's message. She read it and smirked. Everything was falling into place. Meanwhile, Derek was on the road, driving toward the hotel. What he didn't know was that Linda had installed a GPS tracker in his car months ago, a precaution she'd taken long before her suspicions arose. Now, watching his exact location on her phone, she knew he was just minutes away from the Magnolia Luxe Hotel. As Derek pulled into the hotel's driveway, he parked his car carefully and stepped out, glancing around to make sure no one he recognized was nearby. He adjusted his jacket, took a deep breath, and walked into the lobby. Martin, standing discreetly near the entrance, spotted Derek immediately. He sent Linda another message. "Derek has arrived." Proceeding as planned. Derek approached the reception desk, keeping his voice low. "I'm here to check into the suite." The receptionist, fully briefed by Martin, nodded professionally. "Welcome, Mr. Lawson. Your guest is already in the suite. Here's your key card." Derek nodded, taking the card and heading toward the elevator. His heart pounded as he pressed the button, the anticipation building with each passing second. In the meantime, Linda sat in her lounge, her gaze fixed on her phone screen. She watched as Derek's car remained parked outside the hotel, knowing exactly where he was and what he was doing. "Enjoy it while you can, Derek," Linda murmured to herself, her voice cold. "Because your perfect little world is about to crumble." Linda stepped out of her sleek black car in front of the Magnolia Luxe Hotel. Her tailored navy blue dress exuded elegance, and her heels clicked sharply against the marble floor as she walked into the lobby. Her face was calm, her movements deliberate. She was here with a mission. Martin was waiting near the elevators. He greeted her with a slight nod, his expression professional but understanding. "They're in the suite," he said quietly, gesturing toward the elevator. "Everything has been prepared as you instructed." "Good," Linda replied, her voice steady. "Let's get this over with." Martin escorted her to the private elevator that led to the penthouse suites. As they ascended, Linda's face remained unreadable, though her mind was racing. Years of loyalty, years of building a life together. And for what? The elevator dinged softly, and Martin stepped aside, allowing Linda to exit first. He handed her a key card. "This will give you access," he said. "Do you want me to wait here?" Linda shook her head. "No, Martin. I'll handle this myself. Just make sure no one disturbs us." Martin nodded and stepped back into the elevator. Linda walked down the plush-carpeted hallway, her heels muffled but purposeful. Stopping in front of the suite, she took a deep breath, slid the keycard into the slot, and pushed open the door. Inside, the suite was luxurious, bathed in warm golden light. The faint sound of music played from a speaker, and the scent of roses lingered in the air. Linda stepped into the living area, her eyes scanning the room. From the partially open bedroom door, she heard muffled voices and laughter. She moved forward, her steps silent, and pushed the door open. Derek and Sophia were on the bed, tangled in the sheets. Sophia's laughter died instantly as her eyes widened in shock. Derek froze, his face draining of color as he stared at Linda, who stood in the doorway, her arms crossed and her expression calm but icy. "Well, well," Linda said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence like a blade. "What do we have here?" "Linda." Derek scrambled to sit up, pulling the sheets around him. This isn't what it looks like." Linda arched an eyebrow, her gaze flicking to Sophia, who was frantically trying to cover herself. "Oh, really, Derek? Because it looks exactly like what it is." Sophia stammered, her voice trembling. I didn't know." Linda turned her sharp gaze to Sophia, cutting her off. "Didn't know what, exactly? That the man you're sleeping with is married? Or that the hotel you're enjoying happens to belong to his wife?" Sophia's mouth opened and closed, her face flushed with embarrassment. "Wait. What?" "Oh, yes," Linda said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Welcome to the Magnolia Lux Hotel. I'm Linda Lawson, the owner. And, unfortunately for you, the wife of this pathetic excuse for a man." "Linda, please," Derek said, his voice desperate. He got off the bed and stepped toward her, his hands raised in a pleading gesture. "Let me explain." "Explain." Linda interrupted, her voice sharp. "Explain how you lied to me, betrayed me, and brought her to my hotel? Oh, I'd love to hear this explanation." "It was a mistake," Derek said hurriedly. It didn't mean anything. I swear." Linda's eyes burned with anger, though her tone remained calm. "Didn't mean anything? You booked a suite, arranged champagne and roses, and lied to my face. That's not a mistake, Derek. That's a carefully planned betrayal." Sophia, still sitting on the bed, looked between the two of them, her face pale. "I didn't know he was married. He told me he was single." Linda's gaze softened, though only slightly, as she looked at Sophia. "I don't care what he told you. But you're complicit now. You're in my hotel, in my bed, with my husband." Sophia shook her head, her voice shaking. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea." Linda ignored her, turning her full attention back to Derek. 15 years, Derek. 15 years of loyalty, of building a life together. "And this is how you repay me." Derek reached out to touch her arm, but Linda stepped back, her expression cold. You don't get to play the victim here." "Linda, I was stupid." "It was a moment of weakness," Derek said, his voice cracking. "You have to believe me." We can work through this. Linda laughed, but there was no humor in it. Work through this? Derek, you've already made your choice. And so have I. She pulled out her phone and tapped the screen, holding it up to reveal a live feed of the GPS tracker she had installed in his car. Did you really think I wouldn't know where you were going? Did you think I wouldn't find out? Derek stared at the screen, his face crumpling with defeat. You were tracking me? Linda scoffed. Don't act surprised. You've been lying to me for who knows how long. I simply leveled the playing field. Sophia began to gather her belongings, her hands shaking. I'm leaving. I didn't sign up for this. Linda stepped aside, gesturing toward the door. Be my guest. But don't think for a second that you're innocent in this. Sophia grabbed her bag and hurried out, avoiding eye contact. As the door clicked shut behind her, the room fell into heavy silence. Derek sank onto the edge of the bed, his head in his hands. Linda, please. I'm begging you. Don't let this be the end. Linda walked over to the bedside table and picked up the champagne bottle. She looked at it for a moment before setting it down with a hollow laugh. You were willing to throw everything away for this? For her. It wasn't like that, Derek said weakly. I still love you. Love. Linda's voice rose, her composure finally cracking. You don't betray the people you love, Derek. You don't humiliate them like this. She turned and headed for the door, pausing to look back at him. Her eyes were filled with a mixture of pain and resolve. Enjoy the sweet, Derek. It's on me. But when you come home, if you even dare, I won't be there. With that, Linda walked out, her head held high. As she stepped into the elevator, she allowed herself a single tear before wiping it away. She wasn't defeated. She was free. Unbeknownst to Derek and Sophia, Linda had prepared carefully for the confrontation at the hotel. Before entering the suite, she had placed a discreet camera, hidden in a decorative plant just outside the room, to capture everything. The device had a clear view of the entrance and partially into the bedroom, ensuring every word and action would be recorded. Linda's calm exterior during the confrontation masked her awareness of the recording device. She made sure to stand in clear view of the camera while delivering her scathing takedown. Her voice remained composed, but every word was sharp and deliberate, ensuring the message would resonate with anyone who saw the footage. After leaving the suite, Linda retrieved the camera, reviewed the footage, and smirked. It was perfect. Clear audio, sharp video, and undeniable proof of Derek's betrayal. She saved the file to her laptop, already plotting her next move. The next morning, Linda sat at her desk in her home office, sipping her coffee as the sun streamed through the large windows. Her laptop was open, the recorded footage ready to be uploaded. She took a deep breath and clicked Upload, posting it anonymously to a social media account she had created for this purpose. The caption was simple but damning. When loyalty is betrayed, the truth comes out. #exposed #justice serve. Within hours, the video gained traction. The initial wave of views came from employees at the hotel, who discreetly shared the link. From there, it spread like wildfire. Comments poured in, shock, disgust, and relentless criticism aimed at Derek and Sophia. Derek sat in his office later that day, oblivious to the storm brewing online. His assistant, Paul, knocked hesitantly before entering. "Mr. Lawson," Paul began, his voice uncertain. "I think you need to see this." Derek frowned. "What is it?" Paul handed him a tablet, already open to the viral video. Derek's face went pale as he watched the footage of himself in the hotel suite, his betrayal on full display. The comments below the video were brutal. How could someone cheat on their wife of 15 years? What a disgrace. The wife is so composed, she's a queen. Meanwhile, this guy is garbage. Imagine being caught red-handed like this. Couldn't be me. Derek slammed the tablet down, his hands trembling. Who did this? How did this get out? Paul shifted uncomfortably. The video is everywhere, sir. It's trending on multiple platforms. I'm sorry, but people in the office are talking about it. Derek buried his face in his hands. This can't be happening. Across town, Sophia sat in her apartment, scrolling through her phone. She froze when she saw the video pop up in her feed. Her stomach churned as she watched herself and Derek in the suite, exposed to the world. Her phone buzzed incessantly with messages. Is this you? Wow, sleeping with a married man. Disgusting. You're a homewrecker. Hope it was worth it. Sophia's hands shook as she called Derek. He answered after several rings, his voice panicked. Sophia, do you see this? He snapped. Of course I see it, she shouted. What are we going to do? You think this is about you? Derek growled. This is my life being ruined. Oh, so my life doesn't matter now? Sophia shot back. You told me you were single. Now everyone's calling me a homewrecker. Derek sighed heavily. We'll figure it out. Just stay out of sight for now. Stay out of sight? Sophia repeated, her voice cracking. My reputation is in shambles because of you. Derek hung up, leaving Sophia staring at her phone in disbelief. Meanwhile, Linda was having lunch with her closest friend, Grace, at a chic cafe. Grace was scrolling through her phone when she suddenly gasped. Linda, you have to see this, Grace said, holding out her phone. Linda glanced at the screen and saw the video. She smiled faintly. Oh, that's unfortunate. Unfortunate, Grace said, her voice filled with admiration. This is genius. Whoever leaked this is a hero. Linda sipped her tea, her face calm. It's amazing how quickly the truth comes out when people least expect it. Grace leaned closer. You're handling this so well. I'd be a mess. Why waste energy on being upset? Linda replied. The world knows who Derek really is now. That's enough for me. Derek's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Friends, colleagues, and clients called, but the tone of their conversations had shifted. Instead of friendly banter or business inquiries, he was met with cold, clipped responses. One client, Mr. Harris, spoke bluntly. Derek, I saw the video. I don't think we can continue working together. This kind of scandal reflects poorly on everyone involved. Mr. Harris, please, Derek begged. This has nothing to do with my work. It has everything to do with trust, Harris replied. And frankly, you've lost mine. Good day. Derek slumped in his chair, his head spinning. He opened his email to find several messages from colleagues. I think it's best we distance ourselves for now. This situation is making people uncomfortable. You've put the company in a difficult position. We need to discuss your future here. At the same time, Sophia received similar treatment. Friends stopped responding to her messages, and her social media accounts were flooded with hateful comments. She tried to explain herself in a tearful post, but it only fueled the fire. That evening, Derek sat alone in the house he once shared with Linda. She hadn't come home, and her belongings were gone. He scrolled through social media, reading the relentless barrage of comments. Cheaters deserve what they get. Linda is a queen for exposing him like this. Imagine throwing away a wife like that for this mess. Derek threw his phone across the room, the screen cracking as it hit the wall. His life was in ruins, and he knew it. Meanwhile, Linda was at a private dinner with a few close friends, raising a glass of champagne. To freedom, she said with a small smile. Her friends cheered, knowing she had come out of the ordeal stronger. As the world continued to talk about the viral video, Linda remained calm, knowing she had achieved what she set out to do. Derek's betrayal wasn't just exposed, it was immortalized, ensuring he'd never escape its shadow. Linda sat in her lawyer's sleek office, her expression calm but resolute. Across from her, Michael, her longtime attorney, reviewed the prenuptial agreement they had drafted 15 years ago. Linda, Michael said, glancing up from the document, this prenup is rock solid. Derek doesn't stand a chance of touching your assets. Linda nodded, her voice steady. Good. File the divorce papers immediately. I want this over with as soon as possible. Michael smiled faintly. You've always been thorough. It's rare to see someone this prepared. Linda tilted her head, a small smirk playing on her lips. I've always believed in protecting what I've worked for. Derek made his choices. Now he'll face the consequences. The following day, Derek was served the divorce papers at his office. His face turned pale as he scanned the documents. The clause about the prenuptial agreement was highlighted in bold. He stormed into his boss's office, trying to vent his frustration, only to find a stony-faced Mr. Harris holding a tablet with a viral video paused on the screen. Derek, Mr. Harris began coldly, we need to talk. Look, I know what this looks like, Derek stammered, but it's a personal matter. It doesn't affect my work. Mr. Harris raised an eyebrow. Doesn't affect your work? Derek, this video has made its way to our clients. It's unprofessional, it's embarrassing, and frankly, it's damaging to our company's reputation. Come on, you can't fire me for something like this, Derek pleaded, his voice shaking. I've been loyal to this company for years. Mr. Harris shook his head. Loyalty is a two-way street, Derek. You've put us in an untenable position. I'm sorry, but we have to let you go. Pack up your things. As Derek left the office later that day with a box of his belongings, he felt the weight of his decisions crushing him. His marriage was over, his job was gone, and his reputation was in shambles. Sophia scrolled through her phone in her small apartment, the hateful comments on her social media posts relentless. She had deactivated most of her accounts, but the damage was done. The viral video and subsequent fallout had made her a pariah. Her phone buzzed with an incoming call. She hesitated before answering. It was Derek. What do you want? Sophia snapped, her voice cold. We need to talk, Derek said, his tone defensive. This whole thing has gotten out of hand. Out of hand. Sophia repeated bitterly. You lied to me, Derek. You told me you were leaving Linda. You made me think we had a future. Derek sighed. I was going to leave her. Eventually. Sophia laughed, but there was no humor in it. Eventually. You're unbelievable. Do you have any idea what I'm going through? People are calling me a homewrecker. I've lost friends, clients, everything. You think I'm not suffering? Derek shot back. I lost my job. My wife is divorcing me. My life is falling apart. And you deserve every bit of it, Sophia snapped before hanging up, tears streaming down her face. She realized she had been nothing more than a pawn in Derek's selfish game, and now she was paying the price for trusting him. A few weeks later, Linda stood in the grand ballroom of the Magnolia Lux Hotel, dressed in an elegant red gown. The room was filled with friends, family, and colleagues, all there to celebrate her newfound freedom. The party was lavish. Live music played softly, champagne flowed freely, and the atmosphere was one of joy and celebration. Grace approached Linda with a glass of champagne, her face beaming. You've outdone yourself, Linda. This party is spectacular. Linda smiled, clinking her glass with Grace's. It's not just a celebration, Grace. It's a statement. Life doesn't end because someone tries to tear you down. It begins anew. As the evening progressed, Linda took the microphone to address the crowd. The room quieted as she stood under the soft glow of the chandelier, her poise commanding everyone's attention. Thank you all for being here, Linda began, her voice strong and steady. Tonight isn't just about celebrating my freedom. It's about recognizing the strength that lies within all of us. We all face challenges, betrayals, and heartbreaks, but what defines us is how we rise from them. The crowd erupted into applause, and Linda's heart swelled with gratitude. She had reclaimed her life and found a sense of purpose she hadn't realized was missing. A month later, Linda stood on the stage of a packed conference hall. Behind her was a large screen displaying the logo of her newly launched charity, Empower Her Foundation. The organization's mission was clear: to support women who found themselves in situations of betrayal, abuse, or manipulation, helping them rebuild their lives. Linda addressed the audience with passion. When I went through one of the most difficult experiences of my life, I realized how fortunate I was to have the resources and support to stand back up. But not every woman has that. Empower Her is here to change that. We will provide legal assistance, counseling, and financial support to help women regain their independence and dignity. The crowd erupted into cheers and applause. After the event, Grace approached Linda, her eyes shining with pride. "You've become a beacon of hope for so many women, Linda. I'm so proud of you." Linda smiled, her heart full. "It wasn't easy, Grace. But if I can use my pain to help others, then it was all worth it." As Linda left the event, she felt lighter than she had in years. The betrayal that once threatened to break her had instead become the foundation of her strength. She had turned her pain into power, and her future was brighter than ever. It had been months since Derek's life fell apart. His savings were gone, his job lost, and his reputation destroyed. He now slept in a small, dingy motel, barely able to scrape together enough for the nightly fee. The once proud man, who used to boast about his charm and accomplishments, was now a shadow of his former self. One rainy evening, Derek sat on a park bench, staring at his phone. He had tried calling friends, former colleagues, and even distant family members, but no one wanted to associate with him. The scandal had burned all his bridges. Finally, in desperation, he dialed Linda's number. His hand trembled as he pressed the call button. To his surprise, she picked up. "Linda, please," he began, his voice hoarse. "I need to talk to you." There was a long pause before Linda's calm voice came through the line. "What could we possibly have to talk about, Derek?" "Just give me a chance," Derek pleaded. "I've lost everything. I was stupid. I made mistakes. But I'm still the man you loved once. Please, Linda. I need your help." Linda sighed, her voice sharp but controlled. "You're not the man I loved, Derek. That man was loyal, honorable, and cared about our life together. You destroyed that person with your lies and betrayal. Please, just hear me out," Derek begged. "I've learned my lesson. I'll do anything to make it right." Linda hesitated for a moment. Then, with a mix of pity and resolve, she said, "Meet me tomorrow at the Magnolia Lux Hotel. The same place where you threw everything away. But don't expect sympathy, Derek." The next day, Derek arrived at the hotel, his clothes wrinkled and his face tired. He was ushered into a private lounge where Linda was waiting, looking radiant in a tailored suit. The contrast between them was stark. "Derek," Linda said, her tone cool as she gestured for him to sit. "What do you want?" "I want to fix things," Derek said, sitting down across from her. "I made a mistake, but I've paid the price. Look at me. I've lost everything. Can't we start over?" Linda raised an eyebrow, her gaze unyielding. "Start over? Derek, you didn't just make a mistake. You made a series of conscious decisions to lie, cheat, and betray me. Why would I ever let you back into my life?" Derek leaned forward, desperation etched on his face. "Because we had something special. I can change, Linda. I swear." Linda leaned back, crossing her arms. "You had every chance to change when you were with me. Instead, you took everything I gave you for granted. Now you're reaping the consequences. Don't you have any compassion?" Derek asked, his voice breaking. "You were my wife. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" Linda's eyes softened slightly, but only for a moment. "It means I gave you my trust, Derek, and you threw it away. I'm not here to rescue you. I'm here to remind you that actions have consequences. Goodbye, Derek." Without another word, Linda stood and walked out, leaving Derek alone in the lavish room, a stark reminder of the life he had lost. Across town, Sophia was scrolling through old emails and texts from Derek, trying to make sense of the chaos he had brought into her life. As she pieced things together, she realized something chilling. Derek had manipulated her not just emotionally, but financially. He had borrowed money under false pretenses, promising to pay it back, and had even used her credit card for expenses he claimed were work-related. Furious, Sophia decided she wouldn't stay silent any longer. She logged into her social media account, which she had been avoiding for weeks, and posted a long statement. "I was lied to, manipulated, and used by Derek Lawson. He told me he was leaving his wife, but it was all a lie. He even used me for money. Let this be a warning. Don't trust a man who can't even be honest about who he is." The post quickly gained traction, adding fuel to the fire of Derek's already tarnished reputation. Comments poured in. "Wow, this guy is worse than we thought. Karma always comes around. Good for you for speaking out, Sophia." Sophia felt a small sense of relief as she exposed Derek for who he truly was. While it didn't erase her pain, it gave her some closure. Meanwhile, Linda was thriving. Her business ventures were booming, and her charity, Empower Her Foundation, had gained national recognition. She was frequently invited to speak at events, where she shared her story to inspire and empower others. One sunny afternoon, Linda stood on the balcony of her penthouse, sipping a glass of wine as she looked out over the city skyline. Grace joined her, carrying a plate of hors d'oeuvres. "Have you seen the latest about Derek?" Grace asked, handing her the plate. Linda raised an eyebrow. "No, and I'm not particularly interested." Grace smirked. "Well, he's completely broke now. I heard he's been staying in shelters and begging former friends for help." Linda took a sip of her wine, her expression calm. "Sounds about right. He's finally learning the value of the things he took for granted." Grace leaned against the railing, studying her friend. "Do you ever feel bad for him?" Linda thought for a moment before shaking her head. "No. I gave him everything, and he chose to destroy it. Now I've chosen to move forward. It's as simple as that." The two women clinked their glasses, the sound ringing out against the backdrop of the bustling city below. Derek sat on a worn cot in a crowded shelter, his head in his hands. The echoes of his past mistakes haunted him, and every attempt to rebuild his life was met with closed doors. He had lost everything: his wife, his career, his dignity. The viral video and Sophia's revelations had ensured no one wanted anything to do with him. He pulled out his phone, the screen cracked and barely functional. He scrolled through old photos of him and Linda, a pang of regret hitting him like a tidal wave. He had taken her strength for granted, and now he was left with nothing but memories of what could have been. Linda, on the other hand, was surrounded by love and success. At an Empower Her gala, she stood at the podium, addressing a crowd of supporters. "Betrayal doesn't define you," she said, her voice strong. "How you rise from it does. We are all capable of rebuilding, of finding strength within ourselves, and of creating lives filled with purpose and joy." The audience erupted into applause as Linda stepped back, her heart full. She had turned her pain into power, her loss into opportunity. Derek's betrayal had once seemed like the end of her world, but now it was merely a chapter in her story, a story of resilience, strength, and triumph. I'm glad you made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please go ahead and generously hit that like button and subscribe for more captivating tales like this. We'd love to hear from you. What lessons have you learned from this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next story.